Welcome, heroes, to our 1 million views special! That's right! Oh man, it's amazing to think about. 1 million times someone's clicked on this channel to tune in. It's mind-boggling to think about. Or at least somebody found, you know, the thumbnails were interesting enough to click on, or maybe the title. I don't know. But it's amazing to think about. Just 1 million times somebody's like stopped by this channel to click on it and tune in. It's so interesting to, oh man, I don't even know, just baffled from the fact that our community could actually grow to this point that enough people would find it interesting. I mean, I don't know, I suppose it's interesting, maybe. But anyways, for today, we're gonna do a draw my life video of me, Zeshin. So I'm gonna try my best. This is kind of a weird format for me because I've never done something like this before. But there's always a good time for our first time, good first time for everything. I was asked to do this a long time ago as one of my milestones, and I figured this would probably be a good one. But anyways, without further ado, here we go. I was born on February 2nd, 1988, which means, yeah, I'm a groundhog. For those of you who know what that means, you know, the whole February 2nd thing. No shadows are gonna scare me. I was born at a hospital off of an Air Force base in California. My father and mother were both in military, so it's kind of a thing. My mother is a med tech, and my dad, well, he was in the Army, the Air Force, Navy, Marines, and I don't know, I think pretty much everything else. He's pretty much everywhere in the military. So I was pretty much a grade A military brat. I have two sisters, one older, one younger, making me the middle child. But it's okay though, because I'm still the tallest. Me and my sisters always got along, and we always like explore or play games or, you know, all the stuff that kids would do. Overall, it was a pretty awesome family. I met my best friend through his mom's daycare, mostly required since either my parents would be shipped out via military reasons or at a job or, you know, those kinds of things. But it was all cool in the end. We would get into all sorts of trouble together, mostly kid stuff, you know, climbing trees, hitting stuff with sticks, walking miles from home to get to the local convenience store, you know, mostly kid stuff. I met various other kids too through the daycare, although making friends for me was very hit and miss. My mother would often tell me I was quite the rowdy child. When I was barely one, apparently I was strong enough to give her bruises when she was trying to control me. Yeah, it was a little out of control. I guess I had too much of a wild child spirit. It was quite apparent when I was growing up because I was never good just sitting around in one place. I would often go out and explore. I loved exploring. Go out and explore the forest, the farms, the neighborhoods. I just loved seeing what was beyond the horizon. I never wanted to really sit still. When I started school, I suppose my rowdiness was a bit much for the teachers. I was diagnosed with ADD, or attention deficit disorder, although later this was properly diagnosed to be highly functional Asperger's autism. The research for it at the time was quite new, so there was quite a lot of misconceptions about it. For those of you who don't know what Asperger's autism is, there's still a lot of research being done that involves it, but as far as I can tell, it generally means like all my senses, emotions, and pretty much everything is either hypersensitive or undersensitive. And from what they say, that we view the world differently, whatever that means. I suppose it's something to do with hyperactive imagination or something, I don't know. It was difficult growing up with others, as while I thought I was fine, I didn't necessarily mesh well with others, because, you know, I was really rowdy and whatnot. However, for the most part, it just went over my head, as I was too busy just thinking up new stories for my toys or getting lost in video games. In fact, games were so ingrained in me that I've been playing them since I could ever reach the keyboard. The first games I remember playing were this Starship game I don't remember much about, and preschool, some Muppet game, Doom, and Monkey Island, which, by the way, Monkey Island happens to be my favorite series. Probably something to do with I learned how to to read certain things from. I don't know. So it's a really good series. You should check it out. Video games were a great outlet for me, as it let me explore brand new worlds, solve tough puzzles, battle major enemies, and I could just let my imagination run rampant with stories of the characters. I of course had my TV shows that I watched, you know, the good old Power Rangers, Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, and all those good stuff. But it was really video games that really moved me. So you could understand my excitement when our family got an NES, and later we got an N64 and a PlayStation. It was just amazing. I got to play all these kinds of really awesome games, and it was just awesome. It's really hard to describe. I played the crap out of those games, and I played a lot with the friends I did have as well. Because, you know, you had the whole couch base with the games. We would often play, what was it? River City Ransom was one of the earlier games I played. It was really good. It ended up being one of my favorite games. So, to put it shortly, my childhood was really awesome. We had all these games, I had my best friend, and we had all these places to explore. But, however, all that shifted when my father got his job moved, and we had to move to another state. It was really hard on me. I lost all what little friends I had, and I had to learn a new school system, adjust to new people, and I finally started to understand how much I didn't really mesh well with others. I would try to make new friends, but I would always do something stupid or get laughed at, or fall victim to some prank that the others would ridicule me for, and I never really get why they did it or what it meant. It'd usually just go over my head. I would even get punished by the teachers who didn't really know how to handle my behaviors, mostly just because they didn't know what else to do. It sucked. But it wasn't all bad. I still kept in touch with my best friend from Cali, and I got to meet 4 new friends within my neighborhood, and they were all really awesome. We, of course, got into all the kind of things kids get into, you know, building camps out of twigs and well, okay, well, let's just leave it at that. After a while, we moved out of that apartment complex, and I got moved to a much better school. I still kept in touch with my friends from that neighborhood, and I started to meet many more within the neighborhood around me. However, there was still issues with the school I was going to, and when I was finally diagnosed with autism, they did try to help, but it was more insulting than helpful. It was around this time that I decided that rather than taking meds or going through useless counseling classes for my autism, I was going to take charge of my life and make my way of thinking work with society. I was able to connect with others a lot easier when it came to games. It didn't matter if it was virtual or card games. I would always have fun, and so would they. There was far less misconceptions. The games were pretty much laid out and easy to understand. You just had to play them and have fun, and created loads of things to talk about with others. Over time, I got a new computer, new consoles, and was able to play with the other kids in the neighborhood, and it was a good way to connect because we were able to play, you know, those kind of LAN games with the Xbox and Halo, and it created much more opportunities to just connect with others. I learned how to program, draw, design, calculate, and all these kinds of things in school, and started treating life like a game, the grades being the score. This helped me find new connections with others, and helped me make a lot of new friends. And at this point, I didn't even care when somebody would try to bully me or poke fun at the way I did things. I simply just learned to play along. So, even though moving to this new state was pretty crappy, I learned how to live with things, and things were looking pretty up, and getting pretty good again. And then my dad lost his job due to some layoffs. We had to move, of course, downsize our house for another, and the new house wasn't too bad, but it was another big change. I never really got to know the people in my new neighborhood. There wasn't much in the way of other kids my age. I pretty much lost connections with all my friends from the previous neighborhoods as well. Money grew tight for a while. My parents were always stressed from it. Thankfully, it didn't last long. My dad found new work in various other areas, and our money situation stabilized. Later, my dad did get his job back, but we were pretty much stabilized in the neighborhood that we were in. However, I was never really driven to explore anymore, so I never explored around. I pretty much kept in my room, played the games on my computer. But soon after, I finished high school, and it was off to college. College life was a total blast, and despite being one of the biggest money wastes of my life I've ever spent, I still wouldn't exchange the experience for anything. I went in with a drive to study how to develop games. Video games have always been what made me really happy, and I wanted to create something that would share the experience with the next generation. I tried to study anything and everything that goes into games and game creation, from graphics to programming to design to music. Unfortunately, there really wasn't a standard program for game design, so I just kind of winged it. It was the first time I got to live on my own as well. Well, I mean, if you consider living with a roommate on your own, it counts, damn it! Also, student loans were a lovely thing. I got my first real laptop, a good desktop, and was able to play all the current games at the time, and was for, the computer was for animation purposes. Yeah, we'll go with that. It was while I was at college that I ran into this funny little game called Minecraft. It was mostly just a rumor around the programming classes at the time, so I picked it up to try it out. It was no Dwarf Fortress, but it had its perks. It wasn't long after I started playing the game that survival mode came out, and that's when I completely fell in love with the game. You had the challenge of surviving against enemies meshed with creative building, and oh man, there's so much things to do. I would often build various mob grinders, or tinker with redstone, or build things like a giant woolly creeper, which somehow managed to scare me despite the fact I built it. Damn you, scary creeper. Later on, I started to hear about a funny duo on YouTube which plays the game. Mostly found it through looking up, if not whatever, add NPCs or, questing to the game. This was the first time I ever really interacted with YouTube, as in watch a series of videos. Prior, I would sometimes find a video helping me for a game, but I didn't really care much for YouTube as a whole. I had my animes and movies to watch. I followed along with the Yogscasts, of course quickly realizing that it wasn't NPCs and they were just weaving a story in Minecraft, but absolutely loved that idea, just making machinimas and whatnot with Minecraft. Later on, they even released a public server, which it was really laggy as crap for how many people connected to it, but it was still fun. I created a castle and a lot of people flocked to it, flocked to the build that I was doing. And from there, I started to build a community, just, assigning people roles like chef or town guard, miner, and so on. I even loved dealing with the trolls and the thieves that would mess with us, planting traps to catch them in the act. However, the server changed rapidly, and we kind of lost the builds that we had. But I got involved with the build server community, which was pretty cool. It was really good. By the way, not to confuse with their actual build staff, it was more of a server for builders. Kind of like you had to play server and build server, that kind of thing. It was really awesome. The crew that at the time was an absolute hoot. However, quite suddenly, it just ended. I lost contact with a lot of friends there, all the builders, everything. It just left a void, and a need to be a part of a community again. At the time, I thought of various game designs, ideas, how to make MMOs that would replicate this kind of community, but it was always way beyond my skill to finish it, or my resources. So I tried for simpler designs, simpler games to get started, but the projects never really quite panned out. I graduated from college, or more of the guidance counselor said I should graduate because I had enough credits, so I was kind of forced to graduate. But that chapter of my life ended, and I didn't really have much to go on at that point, so I just continued working on the games. Although I was never really happy with the results. I tried to get together groups to make them better, but no one really wanted to work on a game for free now to get paid later. They were always going for internships or something like that. So after a year of no real luck, my student loans started to creep in. They weren't so great now, so I had to get a job. So I started to work in retail. The job was terrible. The pay was crap. The bosses were high on their own power. It was just bad all around. Not only that, but I found some of my other friends in college weren't doing so well either. Unable to find jobs or scraping by with crappy pay like I was, or just getting the middle finger from life. I hated seeing them like that. I was fed up with my ungrateful job, and I wanted more out of life. I continued to watch more videos like the Yogscast, and I remembered back in the day when I had that community, and how fun it was, and how happy we were playing together. So I started to start up a YouTube channel with my friends. It's pretty slow, we did some Magicka videos and whatnot, and we had grand talks of doing some Dungeons & Dragons online machinimas. It did pretty bad. I think we had about a following of 10 subscribers, and most of that was pretty much us, my friends, and my family. However, we were having fun with it, which is the most important thing. And it was good. It was a great way to forget about the crappiness of adulthood. However, life has a good way of biting you in the ass, and although in this case, it was biting me on my hip. Since I left college, I was getting this hip pain. It's pretty much just minor and annoying, but it kept getting worse and worse without any signs of getting better. To give you an idea of what the pain was like, imagine if you took a super dull screwdriver and just dug it into your hip. Imagine that initial sharp pain as constant, never stopping, ever. That was pretty much what it was like. Over time, I saw various doctors, chiropractors, and even acupuncturists about the pain. And funny enough, the acupuncturist is the one who found out the problem wasn't my hip at all, but it was actually my spine, and in particular, what was growing inside of it. Now, I've dealt with cysts before. They're not really a huge deal. Essentially, they're non-cancerous tumors that keep growing, but you can easily remove them with far less risk than cancer. At least, as far as I can tell, I'm not a doctor. However, one growing in your spine is very bad. If left alone, it was gonna cause my entire lower half to paralyze, or worse. So I was left with the choices of deal with the pain and grow into a very miserable life, or undergo the surgery that could leave my nerves really mucked up, or even paralyze me as well. It was really scary, but I went with getting that sucker removed because I wasn't going to let a cyst rule my life. I went into the hospital. The doctors were really nice, and the hospital was pretty neat. And on the day of the surgery, I was afraid. I was afraid everything would go wrong. And I tried to just tell myself it would work out, it would be okay. And then I awoke and found the surgery was 100% successful. I only had some minor issues from the surgery, like my fingers would tingle every now and then. It kind of feels like I could electrocute somebody, but yeah, it's just minor things. But the cyst was gone, and it was looking like it was gone for good. I was ecstatic to get that behind me. Although, now I was faced with a good 6 months of recovery. Thank you, video games. During my recovery, I thought about a lot of things. I thought about my friends, my job, and I just had it with life throwing me these curveballs. So I decided when I was able to sit, I was really going to start working on my YouTube projects, and I was going to put as much effort as I could into them. I fought through the pain to be able to sit down, and which, by the way, is not very easy when you have stitches in your back. But the meds helped, and they did wonders with helping with that. I made some Don't Starve videos, and later I met Sean through one of my friends, and we did some Minecraft videos, and then we made some machinimas, and that's how we met Mojo. And then from there, I saw a mod for Dragon Ball Z and Minecraft, and well, you can guess the rest of that story. I got to meet a lot of YouTubers and a lot of new heroes. And the channel grew and grew, and meeting all of you guys really changed my life. And while we might not be a massive community, the numbers is not what matters. What matters is that we're a community. We have friends of similar interests, able to find others, play games, or find somebody who did a video on something to watch with or share it with others. And it's been one of the most amazing things, and this has been one of the most amazing and accepting communities. I mean, we've had a little bit of our tussles, but it's still really, really good, and it's been one of the best things in my life right now. And I'm so grateful for it. I'm happy to be all of your guys' friends, and to be able to make videos for you guys, for you to enjoy. And playing games and sharing the experience and being able to make you guys happy from these videos. It's one of the things I've always wanted to do. And it's been truly amazing. I apologize if I could never really express how grateful I am. Autism can suck like that. Either the emotions are on or off. It's weird. But I just know every day I make a video, get to see you guys commenting on it, getting to respond to the comments, or streaming for you guys, just any interaction from this. It's been the best thing ever. So thank you for tuning in and being a part of the Heroes and Fools, and thank you for being our heroes. Well, that's all I'm sharing for this. I'm sorry if it ran long or not long enough. This has been going for quite long, actually, so it's probably been a little too long. I have a lot I want to talk about in my life. A lot has actually happened to me. Some good, some bad. It's been really up and down. Overall, I like the life I've been, but it's nowhere near enough time for a video like this. There's a lot of stuff I had to cut out just because it would drag the video on. And so maybe it could be saved for another time or something, I don't know. Also, I hope I remember everything in order, because it's hard to recall your life correctly, you know? But anyways, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Take care and goodbye.